Good morning to my dear students of class 6, and I am happy to welcome you all to today's zoology class. What are we going to revise today? Today's topic is going to be about a lesson called as breathing. What is breathing? Let's quickly revise about this lesson. So what is breathing? There is a definition for breathing which you are expected to know. What is that? It is a process where oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is given out, and when you take in oxygen, that process is called as inhalation, and when you give out carbon dioxide, that process is called exhalation. What are they? Inhalation and exhalation. So through what source you take in oxygen? From the atmospheric air, right? So through which part of your body the oxygen will enter in? Through your nose. Nose is technically called as nostrils. So atmospheric oxygen enters through your nostrils, and where it will reach? It will reach your lungs, right? So similarly, which gas is given out? Carbon dioxide is given out again through the nostrils to the atmosphere. So inhalation is taking in of oxygen and exhalation is giving out of carbon dioxide. So during this inhalation and exhalation process, there are a set of changes that is happening within your body. So you have to learn that in exam point of view, that is important. What are the changes happening during inhalation and what are the changes happening during exhalation? What are the changes happening during inhalation? There are two parts where major changes happen. One is the rib cage and the second part is the diaphragm. What is rib cage? The ribs, the bones what you have in your chest region, no? That is called the rib cage. What changes will happen to the rib cage during inhalation? There are two changes during inhalation in your rib cage. That is, rib cage will move upwards, that is it will be moving upwards as well as outwards. From the normal position it is slightly outwards and upwards. So this is happening during inhalation. And what about the diaphragm? Diaphragm moves a little down. So these all you should keep in mind. So in exam point of view also this is important. I may ask you what are the changes that is happening in your rib cage and diaphragm during inhalation. You should know to list them all out. Rib cage moves upwards and outwards and diaphragm moves downwards. This you should know. What about exhalation? What are the changes in the rib cage and diaphragm when you breathe out? The changes is the rib cage will move downwards and inwards. It will be opposite during inhalation and exhalation. So here if it is upwards, during exhalation it will be downwards, and here if it is outwards, during exhalation it is inwards. And then what about the diaphragm? Diaphragm is down during inhalation and up during exhalation. So whenever the diaphragm moves up, it will give a dome shape to the chest area. That is, the rib cage becomes a dome shape. One structure. Okay, so these are all about inhalation and exhalation. Next we will revise about gas exchange. What gases are exchanged in the process of breathing? There are two gases exchanged. One is oxygen, the next one is carbon dioxide, right? So when this gas exchange in your body takes place, it takes place between the alveoli of the lungs and the blood capillaries. You know the structure of the respiratory system, right? Small air sacs in your lungs is called as alveoli, and this is the alveoli, and surrounding the alveoli there are blood vessels or blood capillaries where the blood will flow. So the exchange of gases will be between the alveoli and the blood vessels, that is the blood capillaries. What a blood will have? A blood will have RBC cells, no, red blood cells. These round circles are the red blood cells. This one is the red blood cell. Okay, so the actual exchange is exchange of gas between the alveoli and the RBC cells, because red blood cells or RBC cells are the cells that can carry the gases. The blood itself cannot carry. The pigments call us, the red blood cells are the ones which will carry the oxygen or the carbon dioxide, and this exchange happens by the process called as diffusion. What is this diffusion? Diffusion means wherever there is high concentration, from there to the low concentration it will reach. Suppose if alveoli have more oxygen, it will move from alveoli to the red blood cell. Okay, if there is more carbon dioxide in the red blood cell, it will move from higher region, that is from the blood cell to the alveoli or to the lungs, and it will be breathing them outside. So this is the process of diffusion. There are some properties of these red blood cells given in your textbook. First of all, red blood cells are biconcave in shape. What is bi? Bi means two, right? And what is concave? Concave means a hollow structure. It will be like a bowl. If you take a bowl, there will be a hollow space inside. No, similarly, it is biconcave, which means if there is a disc-like structure, this side also will be hollow and the other side also will be hollow. And how this hollow shape or biconcave shape helps your blood? It helps blood by making them exposed to more quantity of gases. Larger surface area will help them hold more gases. Okay, so they can carry more oxygen if they are hollow in shape or biconcave in shape. And this red blood cells are red in color because of a pigment which is called as hemoglobin. Why are red blood cells red in color? Because they carry on a pigment which is called as hemoglobin, and also hemoglobin is rich in a mineral called as iron. So iron, hemoglobin, biconcave, all these terms you should be familiar with. Okay, and if a blood is rich in oxygen, then that blood can be called as oxygenated blood, and if a blood is loaded more with carbon dioxide, then you can call it as deoxygenated blood. De means removal or it is absent. Oxygenated means presence of oxygen. So if blood has more oxygen, it is called as oxygenated blood, and if blood has more carbon dioxide, then it can call it as deoxygenated blood. Next, we will quickly revise about respiratory diseases. There are 4 respiratory diseases given in your textbook. They are asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia and tuberculosis. What are they? Asthma, bronchitis, pneumonia and tuberculosis. You need to know what causes these diseases and what are the symptoms when you get this disease. Suppose if I tell the name of a disease, you should know to explain in exam point of view. Okay, so we'll quickly revise about these 4 diseases. What is asthma? It is inflammation in the airway, the pathway through where you breathe. No, so if there is a swelling in any of those parts, it will lead to asthma, or it is also called as wheezing. So what will happen if there is a wheezing or asthma? The breath shortness will be there. You will find difficulty in breathing. You will find shortness in the breath. That is the symptoms, and it is periodical. This disease, it is not like just for 2-3 days you get. It is not that way. It is periodically, frequently and repeatedly you may get this disease. If a person having, not you, a person having asthma may get it periodically. Again and again he or she may get the disease. This is about asthma. What is bronchitis? Inflated bronchial tube. If you know the structure of the respiratory pathway, you know, right? Trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, all you have in your respiratory pathway. No? In that, the bronchial tube sometimes is affected or inflated. If it becomes large, what will happen? The size of the opening will be small. No, if there is inflammation in a tube, then the opening becomes smaller and there is difficulty for the air to enter in. And one more major symptom in this disease is more mucus is produced. Mucus is the sticky substance in your respiratory pathway, right? So more and more mucus is produced in bronchitis disease, and the person, the infected people will start coughing more. There will be more cough for people with bronchitis. What may be the reason for bronchitis? Mainly smoke and dust may be the main reason for a person to get bronchitis. Clear? Then the third disease is pneumonia. Pneumonia and tuberculosis. No, it is because of bacterial infection. A bacteria called as Klebsiella pneumoniae will cause a pneumonia. Okay. So what will happen if this bacteria is infecting the diseased person? It infects the alveoli. If it infects the alveoli, then the person's alveoli will be filled with pus or fluid. Suppose if you have a wound, all you will get pus and fluid substance inside the wound. No? Similarly, inside your lungs, the alveoli are the small bags, air sacs inside your lungs. No? So in that alveoli or the air sac, the infection will spread and it will cause pus and fluid in that region. This is about pneumonia. Of course, the person will get fever along with a cough, the normal respiratory symptoms all he will have, but the infection will prolong for a longer duration when compared to the other disease. And this one also, tuberculosis, as I told you, it is one more infection caused by a bacteria called as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So this also affect the lungs. And why it is not affecting everyone? It will affect only people with low immunity and malnutrition. If the nutrition or the eating habits is not good, if it's not in a healthy way, if a person lacks deficiency of vitamins and minerals, it is called malnutrition, if he is not getting the nutritious food. So to that people only, this is mostly the target. It will go and affect those kind of people with low immunity. And the major symptom of tuberculosis is so much the person will cough until he will spit bloody mucus. He will have a mucus with blood. That is the major symptom of tuberculosis, but it is curable, and in severe cases antibiotics are given to the patient so that the patient can recover and become like a normal person. These are some of the respiratory diseases. Next, we will quickly revise about the causes and effects of air pollution. What all causes air pollution? The vehicle exhaust and smoke from the industries, and the fire from the crackers, and then you burn the garbages, the smoke which is released out, and the dust which is produced during in construction sites. All these factors will are the major causes for air pollution. And what would be the effect of air pollution with respect to human beings? If it is a short term exposure, that is, if a man is exposed for a shorter duration, the symptoms will be in a different way, and if it is long term exposure, it would be in the other way. There are a list of diseases given, it's not diseases, the symptoms given upon short term exposure and long term exposure. This also you should be familiar with. Upon short term exposure, it may lead to chest pain or tiredness, and mainly it will cause allergic, which is only temporary. It will not be a severe allergy, but however, whenever a person is exposed, he will show the symptoms of allergy or inflammation of the respiratory tract. Either the alveoli or the bronchial tube will be inflamed, that is, it will be swollen for a shorter duration when the person is exposed to air pollution for a short term, that is only for a less duration. If a person is repeatedly being exposed to air pollution, that is long term exposure, then the list of diseases what we studied in the previous part, no, that is the 4 major diseases like asthma, pneumonia, tuberculosis and bronchitis. These major diseases will occur upon long term exposure. So chronic bronchitis means very severe bronchitis. What is bronchitis? Inflammation of bronchial tube, no, and more mucus will be produced and the person will be repeatedly coughing. So on long term exposure it will be like a chronic, means throughout his life he will be having this type of disease. And asthma, wheezing is also a periodical disease which will repeatedly occur to the person upon exposure to long time. And pneumonia is a bacterial infection in your alveoli which will also occur upon long term exposure. Apart from these, there are also some indoor pollutant, like when you paint your house, it is also considered as a pollutant because something unnecessary which is not normal, no, it is a pollutant. So that paint or even naphthalene balls, all when you use continuously, no, these are all considered as indoor pollutants. Apart from this, there are also occupational diseases, like there is a disease called asbestosis, which means a person who works with asbestos sheet making, all, no, he will get a disease called as asbestosis. So this is all about this lesson called respiratory system. And keep learning for your exams. Until I meet you in your next biology class, you all take care and bye bye.